am so glad that you have joined us for the Project 7000. Now, if you've noticed online as we're sending you these resources, we're in the process of listening to the people who've joined us to find out what is going to be most helpful for you. In fact, I heard from one of our subscribers just the last couple of days, and she said, you know, wouldn't it be good if your Friday feature, which is what you're on right now, the Friday email, where you talk about the Worldview News, if you could find a way to make it to where our family could watch a little video and then understand what we need to do in our family devotional time. So that's what I'm spending the next couple of minutes explaining to you. On our Friday feature, we said that we would help you as a family be able to look at the world around us and say, how are we going to build an ark? I'm getting ready in just the next few minutes to launch off our Worldview class that I teach on Thursdays, and so that's why you see me here in this setting. We'll always send you the link that if you want to go deeper in Worldview training as a family, you can do that. But on Friday, when we send you our news feature, I'm going to talk through the news stories that I'm sharing with you and why I believe they're important for us as families. So this week in our news feature, you can just turn this on right in your family dinner time, your family devotion time, wherever your family gathers. I'm going to concentrate on this theme for us this week. It's going to be on the theme of lawlessness and terrorism. Lawlessness and terrorism. Now, obviously, if you're looking in the world around us, everybody's talking about terrorism. What do we do with ISIS? What's going on in the Middle East? What do we do? And we looked last week in some of our news stories. What do we do with the flash mob situations that we're seeing here in the United States? And so I gave you some resources this week as a family to go a little deeper with that. The first resource answers this question: who is ISIS? Suddenly, over the last few months, it becomes a household word, and I had to confess I don't understand exactly what it means. So you have about a 5-minute teaching on who is ISIS. I suggest that you as a family go ahead and learn this word. Take a few minutes, even for your younger children. You know, they're hearing it. They're hearing these talks that are very frightening. I know I faced that with Josiah even in the last week. He hears terrorism being talked about. Well, let's look at that word. Terror is fear. Terrorism works through a whole system of fear. And so as parents and as leaders, we need to recognize the world is afraid. Now, right in your study that I'm sending you today, you'll also see some scriptures that your family can study this week. Psalm 91, other scriptures on the list. I suggest you read them as a family. You begin to say, God did not give this family a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of sound mind. We are not going to be afraid. Now, the second story I'm giving you is something that Pope Francis said this week. He called all of these things going on around us World War III. Boy, I read that and I thought, boy, that's pretty dramatic. But I recognized that we are at a time of great turmoil in multiple hotspots at the same time. And it began to have me ask this question. Lisa, if you're talking about the remnant needing to be prepared, in the stories in our family line, when World War II came around, you couldn't just sit it out. Everyone had to get their head in the game, so to speak, and figure out how to respond. I believe God's giving us a window of time here through Project 7000, through what you're doing in your church, to learn to respond. And so let's look at his words. Let's go ahead and face it square on. Realize we're not called to fear, but we are called to be wise and be prepared. The third set of stories you're going to see is what I would call our real heroes for this week. I could not even believe some of the stories that started hitting a thread that comes to me from an organization I only know a little bit about. They begin to fill me in on an organization called RUN. Go ahead and click on the link. You'll see who they are. They're doing some of the most amazing acts of love right now in the middle of Iraq that I can't even imagine. I want you to read their stories. It won't take you but a few minutes. And it began to have me ask this question. Lisa, are you and your family really committed? Or do you just think you are? Are you in an American comfortable Christianity? Or if you saw your brothers and sisters being destroyed by terrorists, would you step in? I'll tell you, it shook me to the core. I think it's good for us to wrestle with these issues because Project 7000 is not about just a comfortable little let's sit around and pray for a few minutes. It's talking about doing something deeper. And in fact, in just a few minutes, I'm going to be teaching here in this class about the concept of building an ark with your family. Let me show you that poster. Maybe you've seen it. Uh-oh, I'm causing everything to fall over here. It's a poster that we use in our Not Open book about Noah's Ark. If you haven't received a copy of our Not Open book, if you've not read this, then I encourage you to get a copy. We're talking about the theme of lawlessness and terrorism. We need to understand that it's in the spirit realm around us. It's what we're feeling, even when we don't know how to put our finger on what we're feeling. I sent you a resource last week about how to study the word lawlessness biblically. We're going to send that link to you again. We did that in our family devotion. It was very helpful. These are not new ideas. They are as age-old as the beginning of time. So I just pray that this week, your time of training of ark building in your house will be effective, it'll be clear, and it's going to put a foundation that you can view the world around you. We'd love to hear from you. Go ahead and tell us, what do you need from us? What's the most helpful thing we're doing? What do we need to change? We're in this together. Let's talk. How do we build an ark?